Hi, my name is Samantha Will, and I am a freshman here at the University of Wisconsin-Eau Claire. This semester, I am very excited to be working with the Campus Election Engagement Project to help inform you, UW-Eau Claire students, about voting. This week, I'm going to be talking to you about everything that you need to know about voting, as it is National Voter Education Week. What are we going to be covering today? We're going to be covering some important dates, how to vote, where do I vote, who are we voting for, and what some of your favorite professors have to say about voting. Here are some important voting dates in Wisconsin. First important date is going to be Wednesday, October 14th. This is the deadline to register to vote by mail and online. Remember that you can register to vote in person on Election Day here in Wisconsin, but it is preferred if you do register online, as it makes the process go a little bit faster. On Tuesday, October 20th, in-person absentee voting begins. It is also the recommended deadline to request an absentee ballot here in Wisconsin. Tuesday, October 27th is your recommended deadline to return your absentee ballot by mail. As it is not a set-in-stone deadline, but it is recommended to make sure that your ballot is received on time and is counted on Election Day. Friday, October 30th is the deadline to register in person before Election Day. And Tuesday, November 3rd is the most important day of all, Election Day, or Game Day. How do I vote? What are my options? First of all, start by making sure that you're registered. Visit myvote.wi.gov to register or verify your voter registration in Wisconsin. Next step would be to request an absentee ballot. What is an absentee ballot or mail-in ballot? Absentee ballots are ballots that you are able to mail in as opposed to physically voting at a polling place. Due to COVID-19, voting absentee has been strongly encouraged this year for safety reasons, especially if you are in a high population area. To request an absentee ballot, you must submit a valid form of photo ID. Request an absentee ballot online at myvote.wi.gov. Now, it is not required to vote absentee. You are still allowed to vote in person on Election Day. Election Day is November 3rd, 2020. You can register to vote in person or online either on Election Day or before in Wisconsin. Are you a first-time voter and wondering what exactly to expect on Election Day? myvote.wi.gov has many resources available online, including an Election Day voting guide that shows you exactly what to expect. If you're voting in person in 2020, be sure to follow all the CDC guidelines and be kind to your local poll workers. Are you wondering what a ballot would look like? Here's an example from a Neenah, Wisconsin election in 2016. Now, the ballot may not look exactly like this, but this will just give you a feel of what to expect. So you've decided that you'd like to vote in person. Where do you go? Your polling place is specific to the area that you live in. To find out where you should be going, you can search for your polling place online through myvote.wi.gov. Enter your street address, city, and zip code. Be sure to check the hours of your local polling station to ensure that you have time to make it to the polling place on Election Day. Remember, if you don't feel comfortable or safe voting in person, you can always request an absentee ballot, but be sure to do that as soon as possible. So, you know how to vote, but what are you even voting for? So November 3rd is our 2020 presidential election. There may be some other options on your ballot depending on your city and state, but the main voting reason for 2020 is the presidential election. There are two major candidates, the incumbent president, Republican Donald J. Trump, with Vice President Mike Pence, or the Democrat Joe Biden, with his Vice President Kamala Harris. There may be some other third parties running as well. Be sure to do your research. Be sure to research each candidate before you cast your vote, and make sure that your candidate upholds your values. Visit the Campus Election Engagement Project website, campusselect.org, to view some nonpartisan candidate guides. You can also visit guides.org for more political guides. Just be sure to choose the candidate that speaks mostly to you. So what do some UW-Eau Claire professors have to say about voting? I went and I asked some of our favorite professors, what does voting mean to them, and why do they believe students should vote? Professor Yankee Wagner from the History Department states, "The day I voted, I felt like I had reached an important milestone of my life where I had an actual voice in government, in a way that I had not before, even though I had worked and paid taxes. The day I voted, however, I finally had representation to go with my taxation, and that was a good feeling." Professor Walters in the Physics Department says, "My first year of college, I remember walking 2.5 miles with friends from the dorm to a campaign rally where I saw Vice Presidential candidate Geraldine Ferraro speak about the upcoming election and how voting was a privilege afforded to everyone in the United States, regardless of income. This resonated with me, allowing myself to see and keep up with the issues and offering my opinion through vote as a civic duty." Professor Hines from the Psychology Department states, "I used to be incredibly apathetic and pessimistic about politics in general. However, recent years I realized that I was foolish and short-sighted because political matters impact basically every aspect of my life, either directly or indirectly. It's important for me to vote for the candidates who are most likely to help the most people." Professor Patchen from the Criminal Justice Department says, "It's imperative that students vote so that their voices and interests are represented in government. If students don't vote, then elected officials will not take them seriously. Elected officials look at who votes. It would be awesome for them to see the vast majority of college-age individuals vote. They would have to listen to you if that were the case. When I was in college at UW Superior, I was president of the Student Senate. We spent a lot of time registering and encouraging students to vote. We were interested in issues like more financial aid, higher minimum wage, and more support for the UW system. Educate yourself on the candidates for various offices and vote for the person you feel will best represent your interests. Be an active participant in the process." As you can see, voting is important. Vote today and find out what voting means for you. Do you have more questions about voting? Be sure to visit myvote.wi.gov for Wisconsin-specific information. You can also visit the Campus Select website to help to see more voter partisan guides and to hear answers to other questions that you may have. Happy voting, and be sure to vote in your upcoming election on November 3rd, 2020.